Hi, Paul Grewal. I'm a internist, allopathic, I suppose one would call it. It's a bit of a four-letter word around here. So forgive me if this turns into more of a comment than a question, but it's directed at Andrea. So I left hospital medicine a few months ago and started my own practice. And what I found is that when you talk about empathy, my kind of definition of empathy is that I suffer when I see somebody else suffer. And I think part of the traditional medical training and the everything that you go through drives that out of you because of the time pressures. And so, I think it's the whole kind of functional sort of paradigm, I think, has to stay focused on empathy above everything else, because that is what differentiates it. And it also allows you to get that connection with the patient to drive behavior change.
And trust,
Yes.
because the behavior change is going to come from trust. And I think I really appreciate what you're saying. And also, I think a lot of practitioners are fearful of empathy because of that barrier I was talking about with the queen and the guards. We need some protection for ourselves. So what I'm actually looking at are what are 3 stages that we can look at in empathy, and I'm looking at inquire and identify and integrate. So the inquiry is really asking the questions so we can be with the person and appreciate who they are. Identifying is seeing them, really, who is this that I'm working with, and how do we then integrate what we learn from those processes into our care. So there's a little bit of selfishness for me in the empathy. One is really to see the patient, but I feel like when we're in an empathetic state, not only is there oxytocin flowing and there's more trust in there for both of us in the therapeutic relationship, but we actually garner more information that's going to give us more clues. So instead of just jumping to the conclusion, when we develop that trust and that empathy, that's when the magic comes in, and if we're able to be in confidence and think on our feet, we get the answers that we need because they hold them all. So I really appreciate what you're saying, and I think in allopathic medicine there is a lot of fear of empathy because we don't want to take on their pain. So how do we practice in empathy without bombarding ourselves?
Quit your job at the hospital.